Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning, 15 minutes to change our lives. With the Sichos Chelek Aleph, Pasha Shemos, finishing off the Sicha, or the Keta, this section of the Sicha. So basically, we're just going to summarize, and then we're going to finish it off. And I think this is a very powerful Sicha and a very powerful message that we should all take. So basically, we asked the question at the beginning of the Sicha. It says, in this week's Pasha, the Parah says to the Egyptians, what are we doing with the Jewish problem, so to speak? And the Jewish people keep on growing and multiplying. And so he makes this decree, he goes, Kol haben, hayelud, hayer, tashtachu, all the boys, you should throw them into the river, and all the daughters should keep alive. The question is, why do we need to have the double language? Just say all the boys throw into the river, and we'll know that the girls you don't. So why does he add, and the girls should keep alive? So the Rebbe explains, because keeping the girls alive was also part of the Gezerah, part of the decree. And ultimately, in spiritual terms, and we'll talk about in different levels. Physically it means that the boys have to die and the girls have to live. But the Rebbe is saying that it's really telling us more that the girls should live, but live according to the ways of Mitzrayim, Egyptian lifestyle. And that's what they're trying to do, trying to keep them alive, but take away the Yiddishkeit. And on a deeper level, we're saying even saying the boys throw into the river doesn't just mean physically to death, but it means into the river, because the river was the source of Parnasa, the river was the Avodah Zarah of Mitzrayim. And Rebbe says that Galus Mitzrayim is not something that just happened, but it's something that applies to us nowadays, and that's the source of all the Galus. So what does it mean for nowadays? What's throwing the kid into the river and keeping them alive, but taking rid of the Yiddishkeit? One of the ways this happens is in regards to this social pressure of sending our kids to get a proper education, quote unquote, and that the yeshiva education are good enough. And this is something that has existed for a long time. It still exists now, and even in Karnaiti, people talk about this. And people complain all the time that we need to get a proper education, and there's organizations that are fighting to take away our rights as parents to choose the proper education for our children. But the question is, and really the lesson of the learning of the lesson they're trying to teach us is, how do we view the Jewish education of our children? What is the purpose of the education, how important it is, and how much should they be learning of Torah versus secular studies? And should they be learning secular studies and things like this? And this is sort of the discussion we're having over here. Never says that the aver in the streets, what's the talk in the streets, is basically, if you send your kid to yeshiva, and now it's sort of a social pressure. You send him to yeshiva, a lot of parents aren't happy. What happens? My kid comes out and he's a battler, he doesn't know how to do anything. As the Rebbe says in the Sicha, my kid will be such a battler, he doesn't even know how to polish shoes, not even the shoe shiner, which is like, the lowest job you can get. He doesn't know how to hold and that's what the word, he doesn't know how to hold the brush. Meaning my kid's not going to have any high school diploma, he has no chance in life. It's going to be living off government programs. As I saw a joke yesterday, a guy, he said, it was like a Polish guy, and he goes, they go, what do you do for a living? He goes, I'm a programmer. I'm on all the government programs. but on a serious note, if we're honest with ourselves, we can see from experience, you look around, that it's not everyone. And even though a lot of these people go through the system, not everyone comes out that have to go on government programs and that are struggling. A lot of people are very successful. Now, the point I think I'm trying to bring out is that just because you went to yeshiva doesn't mean you're battling. And I think a lot of the negative outcomes of going to yeshiva, people feeling they're inadequate, a lot of it is self-talk and self-made, and also it comes with not learning properly in yeshiva. That's a very important factor. You can't say, I'm just going to go to yeshiva and waste all my life. And I've seen that happen plenty of times, unfortunately. And as I said in the beginning of the week, that I have a friend teaching yeshiva, and he said yeshiva is not a place for learning because I thought I was hired to teach, but I realized it's like a youth hostel. So if a person goes to the yeshiva or to seminary as just like a youth hostel, so then you can't come and complain that I don't have any skills. You didn't gather the skills you meant to get. Now I'm not also saying that the purpose of the yeshiva is to give you skills so you can go above and beyond. The purpose of the yeshiva is because yeshiva, that's the foundation of Yiddishkeit and Torah mitzvahs, and that keeps Judaism alive. And that's what they were trying to destroy in times of Pari. And that's what we have to understand. When we're sending our kids to yeshiva, we're continuing the Jewish legacy. And the yeshiva experience is a very important one. And like with the Chassidim, where the Bachrim were running away during the war, when they're running away during the war, the Friedrich said at any moment they had basically free to try to set up a yeshiva. Because yeshiva is the foundation of yeshiva is the foundation of our lives. So today we're going to finish off, and this is sort of what we're saying. So we have to realize the yeshiva is very important, and we have to understand that it sets us up for the proper foundations of what Judaism is all about. And this is and we if you want to see this clearly, see about the Chassidim in Russia, they went to send their kids to underground yeshivas. They didn't send them to underground yeshivas so they become a Talmud Chacham. They didn't send them to underground yeshivas because it's fun. They didn't send them because they want to get extra prizes. They did it because they understood that yeshiva is the only key to success for Judaism and the continuation of Judaism. And that's what they did. And you can read a lot about it in Samarkand and a few other places nowadays. There's plenty of stories about it. And the Messiahs never had. And a lot of the Rabbanim, a lot of the Mashpin that we have nowadays learned in these underground yeshivas. That had a real big impact. Yeah, to finish it off. And now today we're going to finish it off. And the Rebbe ties it in perfectly with women. It's all about the women. Let's see. Hey. Hashem, she Galus Mitzrayim, he shares Kol HaGaluyos, just like the Galus Mitzrayim is the source of all the Galus. Meaning, Galus Mitzrayim is the beginning of everything. And because of that, we have all the other Galus in, and they all like it. He shares Kol HaGaluyos, we have the same decrees that were then. Nothing new. Everything is old. You know, we come and we think, or we have problems that never had. All these problems always existed. Like we said, so just like Galus Mitzrayim, we are living in Galus Mitzrayim, so to speak. So too, we have the same. We can look at Galus Mitzrayim and how they were successful. It's for us to also become successful. What happened by Galus Mitzrayim? What was the Gula? What was the redemption? What was the freedom? It says, just like the days of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of leaving Egypt, I'll show you miracles. So too with Mashiach, we'll see miracles nowadays. The future redemption will be like the redemption of Mitzrayim. Now, so the way they were freed, the preparation they did to get free, we can learn from that what we need to do to prepare ourselves to be free. So we don't have to figure out new ideas. We have to realize that it's always there and look back over there and what happened then, how were they successful? And we're going to see, and that's how we can be successful. Now we're going to explain something here that we've all heard, but when you think about it, it's like a wild idea. Let's see. The Galus Mitzrayim Nemar, in regards to Galus Mitzrayim, it says, because of the righteous women that were in that generation, that's why we were redeemed from Egypt. That's what it says. Now, what did these righteous women do? Why were we redeemed from Mitzrayim? Because of the righteous women. They brought into the world a generation of Yidden. When Para comes and makes a decree, all the sons should go thrown into the river. What do? They say like this. They said, I don't care what Pari says. But being that Hashem made the command, Hashem commanded us not to think about the ultimate of it. Because of these righteous women that were freed from Egypt. So think about this for a second. What are we saying? Paro makes a decree that all males that are born are going to be thrown into the river. And what do the women say? I don't care. Hashem said we should have children. We're going to have children. It's a wild idea. They're putting themselves up to the possibility that the child that they have that gets born, soon after they're born, they're going to be killed. That's for shalom. And they said, and this is why I think they called it Nashim Tutkanis. They said, we're going to do it. We're going to have the Mesiras Nefesh. We're going to, who cares what Paro says? Hashem's in charge. Now we're going to understand what that means for us. But practically, it was a wild idea what they did. And because of that, we were merited to have Yetzias Mitzrayim. Av Ata came to Torah says, we can apply this to ourselves right now. Ka b'chol Medina, B'miyuchad America, in every country, and specifically in America. Ein lases mishka rav lishoin hasher b'medina lases cheshuvim ta'achlis. Don't think about what's going on and what the people around us are saying, or what's the American culture saying, and what we have to be a good, upright, standing citizen, and what we have to learn, what's acceptable. What are the standards of the public school, and we should learn from that. Chas v'shalom, chas v'shalom. Yesh l'chanech esh ha'yeladim. We have to teach the children, kefi asher tziva HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as Hashem commanded us. V'hu yida l'yeladim v'gam l'hayrim. And Hashem will worry for the children and also for us. We have to realize that our job is to raise them up to be healthy from Yidden. And not just the minimum basis, so then they can move on in life and do other things, but that their whole life is Torah and Yiddishkeit, and not in a superficial way, but in a real pneumistic way. That, like as the Rebbe said once in the Sikha, he pointed to a kid, and he said he only knows that the world exists because it says in the Torah, Bereshis bara. And this is what we're talking about. That our kids, and again, like we said yesterday, we're not saying they can't learn English and maths and science, but why are we teaching them? We're teaching them so they can understand the pasuk better, they can understand what does it mean for Bereshis bara, or we're teaching them so they can be mensch, they can be a normal person, and not a nebach, and not a person that's gonna, when later on in life, not gonna be able to have a parnasa. You want them to understand the pasuk better, then it's into hate. And this is what the Rebbe is saying. The kach and the job of a parent is to understand this message, and not to just to follow along blindly, but to understand this message that the key to the existence of the Jewish people is yeshiva. And sending a kid to yeshiva is not a sacrifice you should have. It should be the schus that you get an opportunity. And if you think about the Chassidim in Russia had Mesiras Nefesh literally, and the kids went to underground yeshivas, had to hide. They'll put kids in hiding just so they could learn Torah. So we don't have to worry about that. But we have to realize the importance of the yeshiva. And of course, it also means, like we said before, it doesn't mean just stick them in yeshiva, even though it's not right for them. And if you speak to the people that run yeshivas and the mashpiyim, from the little that I heard, a lot of the issues is the fact that the kid is on the right place. So of course, if you're not in the right place, and so you just, and it's not working out, I know it's hard, but we have to make the right decisions. What's best for our child? But it doesn't mean just stick them in a yeshiva and then we're design this message. They have to have a good yeshiva experience, and they should have good clarity on what they're trying to achieve and have the tools to achieve it. And of course, if we do that, everything else works out very well. Just to finish it off, specifically not caring and not going about the decree of Paro. We save the children, and that brings the gula. Sending the kids to yeshivas or brings the gula. Haklalis, the general gula, the Chol Am Yisrael, to all Jewish people, through Mashiach, the Kar Mamish should happen immediately. Just a quick story, just to finish it off, that in the 40s, they had the same way we had very recently these decrees of they wanting to making the yeshivas have to teach all these secular studies. In the times of the Friedrich, the same thing happened. And they were trying to enforce that the yeshivas have to teach a lot of secular studies. So the way they nullified it was because the Chassidim went to the governor, whoever it was, trying to implement it. And they said that you have to understand something. Think about how it's going to look. They said, the Friedrich Rebbe course, he wasn't called the Frierdiker at the time. They said the Frierdiker, he's not listening, and he's going to make sure that all the yeshivas, and he's going to push, and he was pushing that this shouldn't happen. He said he's going to continue teaching them. What are you going to do? You're going to put him in jail? He said this guy, the Frierdiker, was put in jail in Russia for teaching Torah. Now in communist Russia. Now he's coming to the free America, and he's also be put into jail. How are you guys going to look? You're going to look like you're like communists. And because of that, they decided to nullify it. So, Mitzvah Hashem, by us, we should have success in our yeshiva and our kids' yeshiva experience. And it takes a lot of effort from the parents and knowing the right place for the yeshiva, right yeshiva for the child, and putting the efforts. And the Mitzvah Hashem, we should be successful. And like we said, through the Mesiras Nefesh, we're going to have the Mitzvah Hashem, the Gula Mitzvah Shlema. Thank you very, very much. Have a great Shabbos, everybody.